What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today's video is a little bit different. Normally when I talk about special edition books, it's usually from very specific sources such as the Bookish Box, or it's going to be illumicrate or owlcrate, fairyloot, all of these websites that basically specialize in creating special edition versions of books for us to receive. Now, that being said, this time I wanted to do something a little bit different. There's so many different ways to get your hands on special edition books. So for any of other girlies or men out there who are interested in the beautiful special editions that I am so enthralled with and obsessed with, then definitely wanted to show some other options for how to get a hold of these special editions. And also just to give you guys a little bit of a haul of what I have recently purchased from those type of websites. So first and foremost, if you don't receive a copy of a special edition while it's actively on sale at any given location, for example, the fairyloot sells out, illumicrate sells out, whatever it may be. If that happens to happen, don't fret. There's so many different ways to get your hands on other versions of those books. You can go through Mercari, you can go through Poshmark, so many different secondhand websites, Etsy, eBay. A lot of these places carry these books. Also, the thing I love about Etsy is you can do custom special edition orders. So a few months ago, I had posted a review of the beautiful custom order of a Court of Thorn and Roses series that I received. That is absolutely stunning with the painted edges and the beautiful gold gilding. Like, it's just so stunning, and that was because it was custom made. I am currently waiting on another order to ship in, which I will be doing a completely separate unboxing for, because there's actually 2 sets of books that I'm waiting on. I'm still waiting on a Bookish Box order, and I'm still waiting on the Etsy order to come in. The Etsy order would be the Blood and Ash series, and then for the Bookish Box, I actually have 2 different sets of books that I'm waiting on. One is a duology, and the other one is an omnibus, and the omnibus should be shipping soon. So as soon as that arrives, I will definitely showcase those in a different video. But one option for finding special edition books is going through the secondhand market. And that is what I did for these beautiful editions here. I read recently the duology of Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. And I have to say, I absolutely adored those books. Now, owlcrate happened to do special editions of both of these books, and they sold out like that. I got really lucky when I was, scouring the internet, trying to find copies of these books, and I got so lucky when I found these, because I have been salivating over them. Now, I did have the Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows books from Book of the Month, but this is actually a series that I've been wanting to give to one of my best friends to read, because I think she would really enjoy it. I just think the romance and the banter and the typewriting, and it's just so cute. So I was going to give this to her anyway. So when I got my hands on the special editions, I was like, perfect. So let me just show you guys how beautiful these are. This is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the typewriter. I love the little pink typewriter. I love the fact that it has the beautiful cover, and I like that this isn't laminated. It's actually more like not even gloss. It's just a simple piece of paper, and it kind of gives me vibes of like typewriter or newspaper, which I love, which is what our main characters do for a living. The painted edges on this is also stunning, and you can see that it does have the harp representing music, which is obviously banned in this society. Well, not obviously. If you haven't read it, then you don't know, but music has been banned in this society in honor of one of the gods. And so it's a very apropos way of decorating this book. And it says on the back, "I want your hand to be in mine no matter what comes." How lovely. So then if we take this cover off and you open up this, isn't that to die for? Like, look at that. Oh my gosh. In the newspaper room with both of them typing for the correspondence. Ah, I love it. Love it. And then you have the silver on the front, and this is embossed into it, which I absolutely love. So it says Divine Rivals in silver on the side, and then on the front it says, even in the silence, I hope you will find the words you need to have. Beautiful. And then on the back it says the third owlette, made especially for DEW, and I love that. And then the interior cover has the beautiful hearts as well, and I just love this paper. And then the best part about this is it is signed by Miss Rebecca herself, and she did write a note for all of the readers, and I just think that's so sweet. So this says in here, Dear owlcrate reader, on a cold night in November 2020, I sat down with a journal and began to fill the pages with ideas. I had been stuck in a long season of writer's block and hadn't written anything new in months, but I was determined to find my new story within those stray ideas. And this line found its way to the page. A girl who writes letters to her missing brother and the boy who reads them. I was intrigued by it, and as I've always wanted to write a novel with epistolary, I haven't heard that word before, epistolary elements, I decided to begin asking questions. I found Iris instantly. I could see her sitting on the floor writing letters on a typewriter by candlelight. I could see her slipping those letters under her wardrobe door, amazed when they vanished. Of course, I soon discovered Roman, the boy who magically receives her letters, even though they are not, at the beginning anyway, addressed to him. As I sat down and began to write the first chapter, I was quickly swept away by their rivalry at the newspaper and their slow-burning romance at the warfront. The book found me when I needed it most. It carried me through challenges and heartache, but also reminded me of the power of stories and words and how our lives are interconnected through them. And as you now hold this beautiful edition of Divine Rivals in your hands, I also hope you feel that draw of magic. Just as E.B. Wright once said, I hope you always are on the lookout for the presence of wonder. Happy reading, Rebecca. How sweet is that? Also, her handwriting, guys. Oh my gosh, gorgeous. Her handwriting is like typewriter. Beautiful. So I ended up getting this copy on Poshmark. Now, what I will say is I did end up spending a pretty penny on this copy. Unfortunately, many of the books, when you are getting them secondhand, are going to be marked up a little bit. So this book was selling for $40 on the website. I ended up paying $70 for it, so almost double the price of what it was originally listed at, but it's in such perfect condition, and I'm so excited to have this exclusive copy. And then here is the second book, which is Ruthless Vows. Now this one I did end up getting secondhand as well, but I actually got it at the original price, so I only paid $36 for this book, and the lady who sent it to me was so sweet. She sent it in all the original packaging and everything, and even wrote a little letter to me saying that she hopes I enjoy this book as well, and I love it. This one is so beautiful as well. We have the lovely violin on the side of this, and this is in relation to one of the characters. You have the stunning painted edges and the wedding rings. Oh, I love this book. I love the fact that you have the typewriter, which I just think is so stunning. And then here is the photo of the two of them in this book. And I love the fact that they're surrounded by books, guys. Library vibes! I've been feeling it. I'm here for it. And then here is the silver on the cover, the embellishments, and then here is the lovely interior, and you have the violins. I love how this could easily be wallpaper. Like, it's just so beautiful. It's so utterly gorgeous and stunning. And then she wrote us another letter and also signed it. Now this one I'm not going to read because it's just causing my tongue to go into a twist here. Aren't they gorgeous? I'm so excited to have these. This one says, despite our mundane lives, perhaps we make our own magic with words. And I love that. And then on the back, it says, the ink-ridden Tribune journalist, which is, of course, one of the newspapers that is talked about in the book series. And this duology was just so sweet and so cute. I think the first book was very romance heavy, slow burn vibes. And then the second book is definitely more about the politics in the world, but definitely worth reading every single page of it. And I'm so excited to have these beautiful editions of this duology. So coming back to the point I was making, which is that you can find them in other sources, if you will. I was very excited to get these off of eBay as well as Mercari. Poshmark also had quite a few of these as well. Also, I realized I never did an intro. Hi, welcome. My name is Jaya. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday on bookish related content for the most part. So if you love a good book, you're in the right place. Now, I primarily read about fiction. I do not read too much nonfiction or memoirs, but every once in a while there'll be those too. And every once in a while I'll throw in something random like travel or whatever it may be. But for the primary focus of the channel is definitely books. So if that sounds like it's in your world or realm of interest, then you are definitely in the right place. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for being here. It's so exciting to continue to build this bookish community with you. So let's keep on going. Oh, fun fact, I just finished filming this video only to realize that all of the film was lost. So up until this point, I kind of talked about some of the different places where you can get special edition books, and that's kind of what the theme of this video is, along with the fact that it doesn't always have to be on specific websites that are catering to special editions. So we had talked about Barnes & Noble so far, I believe. So I also wanted to give a little shout out to Amazon as well. Amazon is a great place to get special edition books that may be hitting the market soon. There's usually an opportunity to place pre-orders, and then if there are leftovers as well, you can also order those. Now, the only thing I will say about Amazon that can be slightly irritating is that sometimes if you place the pre-order for a special edition, based on first come, first serves, if they don't have enough copies, they may change your copy to the regular edition. Usually if this happens and there is a price difference, they will refund you, but you may lose out on your special edition copy. So just something to keep in mind for very, very special books that are coming out, or highly popularized books that are coming out, but also still a great place to get your books. Another thing is when you think about Walmarts and Targets and places like that, they oftentimes have special edition copies as well. And a lot of authors are now also working with their publishing houses in order to create special edition books for each of the different stores. So Target will have a different edition than Walmart. Walmart would have a different edition than Barnes & Noble's. And the reason they do this is because at the very, very end of the book, you still get the same book, but at the very, very end of the book, the bonus content will be different depending on where you choose to purchase your book. This was particularly seen with the Sarah J. Maas books when they were released, specifically The House of Flame and Shadow in the Crescent City series. The Barnes & Noble's edition, I believe, had Bryn's point of view, whereas if you went to Target, I think you got Nesta and Cassian's point of view, something like that. And then there was another copy that was like her parents' point of view. So it was like very, very unique in that regard. But the nice thing is, regardless of where you choose to purchase your books, if you wait a couple of months, typically these special edition chapters are then released onto the internet. So you still have a way to read them without actually having to purchase like 5 different books, which is insane. That being said, I just want to go over some of the Amazon special editions that I ended up getting that I'm super, super excited about. The first one is Lucy Score. So Lucy Score is a newfound favorite of mine. I didn't realize why she was so popular until I really got into the nitty-gritty of some of her books recently. So I read By a Thread in 2023. No, I read that in 2024. Just kidding. I read it in February of last year, and I absolutely loved that book. And that was my first introduction into Lucy Score. I could see why people were hyped about her, but I didn't quite understand the 5 stars for that book. I was like, okay, it's a solid 4-star read. I don't really see the 5 stars, but I did love how quirky and intense the characters were. Then I got into Riley Thorne, and that series did it for me. I was obsessed with that series. I spoke so much on that series. I've done a series review on that series, and I absolutely adored it. And then I got into the Knock 'em Out series, and I found these 3 special editions at Barnes & Noble's, and I'm obsessed with those books. I do think that they were worth every penny, not just for the beauty of the book, but for the story as well. So when I found out she's releasing a new book this year, I was like, I must get this. And when I was on Amazon and I was looking for it, I noticed that Amazon was doing a special edition. So look at these beautiful painted edges. And I love the fact that I got the painted edges in the paperback version. I feel like a lot of times you find many hardcover special edition books, but it's really hard to find paperback special editions. And so this is just great because it'll travel easy. It's easy to read. It's very comfortable in my hands, and it's going to look beautiful on the shelf, but it's also just beautiful in general. So this book is actually about Hazel, who is a romance writer who is currently on deadline to release her next book, but she just went through a breakup. So she's going through a lot of emotional trauma with this deadline looming over her. So she's not as inspired to as inspired to write. And then she obviously meets the main male character, who then happens to be the person who helps her get out of that slump, is my understanding. So I'm super excited to read this. I think it's going to be really fun, and more so than anything, I just love how beautiful this special edition is. Next up is The Last Murder at the End of the World. This is Stuart Turton's newest book that he had released. It came out, I want to say, over a year ago, so the paperback just released, and Amazon had a special edition version of the book come out. Now, I do believe this is also available at Barnes & Nobles and other physical stores as well, as is Story of My Life, but I did love the fact that I could I love the fact that I could pre-order these on Amazon, so I was kind of guaranteed to get these books. So I'm excited about that, and it was to the convenience of being delivered at my home on the release day, so that was lovely too. With this book in particular, I'm super excited to read this book. Stuart Turton is not, I feel, a very well-known author, but his books have been discussed on the internet before, particularly The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I am obsessed with that book. A lot of people found it very confusing or they didn't like it, but I really think it was very different, very unique, very enjoyable. It's kind of like Clue in a book. So basically, you're looking at a dystopian society in the future where the prison system is basically being locked in your own mind and reliving tragic events. So this man happens to go into this quote-unquote prison world in order to get revenge, and he is now stuck in this time loop. And basically, every single night, he is coming back into the prison system as a new character. And he has 8 days to figure out who is committing this murder in order to escape from this prison system and also enact his revenge. It was a very interesting read. The most interesting part about this is that every time he comes back into the dream world as a new person, he loses a bit of himself. So the older the character, as in like the earliest characters that he inhabits, the more he retains his own self. So he's able to follow these breadcrumbs and clues. But as he gets further into the nights and he gets further into the story, he starts losing pieces of himself and starts to become more and more the character that he is involved in. And so I thought that was a really fascinating way to write the book. It is probably good to have a piece of paper and a pen with you just so you can jot notes down if you do easily find you get yourself confused, or if you want to solve the mystery along with the book. That's how I did it. I really enjoyed it, and it was also nice to be able to jot down all the different character names in order to keep track of them. But that was my introduction to Stuart Turton. And then after that, I ended up reading The Devil in the Dark Waters, and that was also an excellent book written by him with a completely different twist and genre. It's still within, I would say, kind of like that thriller mystery realm, but it was a completely different vibe of story than 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. So I was very intrigued by this, and I ended up reading an interview he had done, and he specifically mentioned that he didn't want to put himself into a box in terms of the type of writing he does. But I was super excited about this book because this book is basically about a society where he lives, or the characters live in this world where there has been a fog that's basically come into the planet and wiped out all of the human population, except for this one island, which is protected, where there are 3 scientists living on the island, and then you have inhabitants, I believe 122 villagers who are also living on this island. They're protected from the fog. They all live in peace and harmony until suddenly one day they wake up and one of the scientists has been brutally murdered. Now the problem is, as soon as crime has been committed on this island, the protective bubble around the island starts to vanish, and they have a very limited amount of time to bring the murderer to justice before the fog wipes out the entire island. Now, the catch to this is, before they discover the body, all of the inhabitants of the island have had their memories wiped. So now no one remembers what happened or how it happened, and the murderer themselves don't know that they committed the murder. So it's going to be a very intriguing storyline, I think, to read, and it's just a double bonus that it has such beautiful painted edges. So Amazon for the win. I think this is a great way to get special edition books if you don't want to physically go into a store, or if you don't want to pre-order a book on a website that specializes in special edition books, and then wait 8 months for the book to arrive to your door. Next up, I have here a book that I did get at Barnes & Noble. So it looks like I didn't talk about Barnes & Nobles yet. So Barnes & Nobles is a great place to go to get books in general. Also, I think it's important that we continue supporting the brick and mortar bookshops, because I feel like over time, with the ease of convenience of having books delivered in person or ebooks or whatever it may be, that these beautiful treasures are going to start disappearing. So I'm all about supporting Barnes & Nobles. That being said, this is the second book in the Rebecca Kenny Beautiful Villain series. This book is basically actually, is that what it's called? What is this series called? Let me find out and tell you. I don't actually know. But this is the second book in that series, which is basically reimagined versions of classics. So this one happens to be homage to The Portrait of Dorian Gray, which I read recently last October. So I felt like it was only appropriate to have this book to read for the fall. Now, granted, I got it very early, but the reason I did that is that Barnes & Nobles actually had these beautiful special editions, and this is the painted red edge. And the best part about it is that it has been signed by the author herself. So we have Rebecca Kenny's beautiful signature inside of here, and I just adore that. You also have some really beautiful like images inside of the book as well. And so I was super excited to find this special edition. Now, there's many books that I've gotten that are special edition from Barnes & Nobles, and I do love that they now have this option. One such example is a lot of people are very big fans of the Two Twisted Crowns series. That book series is now being done in special edition by Barnes & Nobles. I personally did not pick up those books because they were extremely heavy to touch, and I was like, there's no way I'd be able to read these, so I did not get those. But as I mentioned, the Knock 'Em Out series is from them. And then they had also done some young adult books that I'm obsessed with special editions. So this is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, who happens to be one of my favorite authors as well for romance and specifically young adult. And this is the beautiful painted edges of this book. And I just think it's so cute that they're doing all of these new special edition book covers and book edges, which they weren't really doing previously. So I think they're jumping onto the bandwagon. So if you are interested, definitely check out Barnes & Nobles. That's another great resource. And then, of course, one of my favorite resources for special edition books of all times remains the websites that really specialize in this, and that is going to be places like illumicrate, the Bookish Box, as well as fairyloot and owlcrate. This particular book is from the Bookish Box. I had pre-ordered this book last year, I want to say in June, so it's been a minute, and it's finally arrived, and that is the special edition version of Beautiful Villain by Rebecca. And I love this because also you get the signed copy, which is lovely, but you also just get so much great Gatsby vibes with this, which is what this book was based on, and I am here for it. Love the gold gilding on the edge. I love these beautiful painted edges. They just make me so happy. And then I also love the fact that the book is just, such a timepiece. Like, look how beautiful that is. The back of the book says, "This isn't a fairy tale. The beast doesn't turn into a prince through the power of love. It's the other way around. I always preferred the beast anyway." And I love that. That's so cute. And then here we have the interior. You can still see the hint of gold foiling inside of the book as well at the party. And then here they are running outside in the garden. So definitely fun. To give you an idea of what I mean by a twist is this is basically The Great Gatsby retold but with vampires. And then this one is a retelling of Dorian Gray but with magic powers. But I don't really know what kind of monster it's supposed to be. So yeah, there's that. I, in general, think that special editions just add a little bit of fun for all the books that I have. I don't necessarily think they're a necessity, but if you're like me and you do like that aesthetic appeal of the books and you do enjoy something that just makes it a little bit more elevated, a little bit more special, I hope this video was enjoyable for you guys then. That being said, that does bring me to the end of the video for today. I will also say I do have another special edition unboxing coming up because I had a pre-order on eBay that's finally getting shipped in. So I will do a part 2 special edition unboxing with those books, which is the Blood and Ash series. And then I also have another order from the Bookish Box that I placed last year that's finally arriving, which is an omnibus of I think 3 or 4 books in that series. So I'm excited for that. And I'm still waiting on a duology from the Bookish Box as well, which I placed an order for last year. So that being said, as I mentioned, some of those books just take their sweet time to arrive. But yeah, there you have it. eBay is also another great place to get special edition books. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And you can support small stores that do specialize in that. Now, the only thing with eBay that I struggle with is a lot of the people who sell books on there, they either just do the special edition binding or they will do the special edition painted edges. It's sometimes hard to find both, but a lot of these shopkeepers, because it is a custom order and because they are a smaller shop, will work with you. So my A Court of Thorn and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas that I had done as a special edition on eBay was particularly awesome because I was able to convince the shop owner to also do painted edges for me, even though her specialty is the binding. And I absolutely adore those books on my shelf. I actually don't touch them because they're so beautiful and it hurts to think of anything happening to them. I also paid a pretty penny for those. So just keep that in mind. They can be expensive if you go that route, but beautiful, beautiful books. So that brings me again to the conclusion of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here and you enjoy this content, please know that it's not the only content I put out, but basically anything bookish related is going to be on this channel. Series reviews, TBRs, special editions, all this is going to be here. So if that's your vibe, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting my bookish obsessions and for being here as part of this bookish community where I can talk all things books because it just makes me happy to be able to have people to share that with, that joy with. I also always request comments down below. So if there's any special editions that you guys particularly like, or if there's any websites that you feel like I need to check out, definitely leave me a comment below and I will be doing so. But that's all I have for today. So have a lovely evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you may be. And I will catch you on the flip side after I get to reading the current book of choice, which is The Fifth Avenue Society. Bye, guys.